Hey pals, it's Sassy Cassie, and welcome back to another reaction video of Naruto Shippuden. As always, I'd like to thank all of my subscribers and anyone watching this video. Thank you so much for watching and following me on the second part of my Shinobi journey. I would also like to give a very special thank you to my patron. So before we get into the recap of this video, I would just like to say thank you all for your well wishes while I was sick. I was not feeling well for the better part of 2 weeks, and it put me behind in a lot of ways, but I appreciate you all and your patience and waiting for my videos to be coming out. It is currently Monday because I'm recording week of at the moment. I am no longer ahead, and hopefully this video will be coming out on Friday if I can get all of my editing ducks in a row. But back to the main point, yes, I am feeling much better. I actually just got my voice back. I know in the last video I had kind of a very scraggly voice towards the end, and that persisted for about 4 days, and it was not fun. I will say I still have some lingering symptoms. I know I responded to somebody in the comments about that just a little while ago. Sometimes I have quite a bit of a cough and my nose is still a little runny, but we are doing much better. That's the moral of the story. So thank you all again. I'm going to try really hard to get us back on track so that way it's like we didn't even miss a week. But if they don't come out super right away, I hope you guys will understand. I'm trying my best, but we're going to try really hard to get back on track. I also wanted to take a moment. I was gonna respond, but then I thought maybe since I was recording anyway, I would just respond in the videos. I feel like you are one of those people that actually watches this, so I hope that you do. I have a really hard time pronouncing this, so I apologize. Well, I tried to put it into Google so I could know how to phonetically pronounce it, but it does not wish for me to do that. So it's like 2 words. The first one is Erop, E-R-O-P, but you had talked about me talking about what I actually like about the Akatsuki and their plans. I realize that the last episode hasn't come out when I'm recording this, so I don't know how y'all will feel about my reaction to that. But I'm not sure what to think about their plan because there are so many mysteries. I feel like we have seen throughout the episodes, there's like little snippets of what they're doing, some jutsu that they're doing to Gaara, but I also feel like there's not a lot to go on as far as their plan goes. All we know is that they've made lots of preparations and that they had to wait for these preparations to be done before they could enact whatever it is they're going to do. And we do know that they've been wanting to do whatever this is for a long time. My questions on that front, though, is that if they had to make all these preparations, why did they try to get Naruto like 2 years prior? Unless they thought they could do it, discovered they couldn't, and then decided to spend these years making preparations. My other question is, are they doing one tailed beast person at a time? Assuming that all these tailed beasts are within people? Or at least, at the very least, tracking one of the tailed beasts down at a time because maybe they don't have the strength to contain all of them at the same time. And then I know further that they talked about this jutsu that they're performing being a sealing jutsu, but it's confusing because there's stuff coming out of God. It looks like they're extracting, and I'm assuming they're trying to extract the tailed beast. So that's the only reason this is kind of confusing. I'm not really sure if they are planning on like taking the tailed beast into themselves to have that power, or if they just want to release the tailed beast unto the world. Those are my 2 best guesses at the moment. As far as the Akatsuki go themselves, I think that from the 4 people we have met that are part of the Akatsuki, they are all very interesting. I think that their personalities are quite fascinating. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that I don't know how they decide to who's pairing up with who, but I think the dynamic between the partnerships that we have seen is really interesting. At least with Kisame and Itachi, Kisame seemed to kind of care about Itachi and the use of his eyes. At least it seems that way. As far as Sasori and the other guy, the blonde kid with the clay, I can't remember his name at the moment, they seem more like a older brother annoyed with their younger brother type of dynamic, which I think is kind of funny. I will say, I get what you're saying about the morally wrong and all like evil is evil and all that stuff. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate a good bad guy, because that's the thing about Orochimaru. I know I talk about how much I despise him, but I think that's why I despise him, because he's such a good antagonist. He's so diabolical in a way, and that's why I appreciate him as an antagonist, which is why I don't like him, because he's really good at being an antagonist. I think that's the same way I feel about at least Itachi, because I don't know that much about the other Akatsuki people, is that there seems to be something else there, more to the story that we're not getting, and I can't wait for that to unfold. But he's such a good antagonist, especially to Sasuke. He seems to always be taunting. Like the way he speaks, it's like he's always taunting everybody, that he knows stuff that other people don't, which he probably does. But I appreciate that about him as an antagonist, which is why it makes me just want to go so much. Like, darn you, Itachi. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. I will try to be more conscious about that as I'm watching. I think it's just a little hard at the moment because we haven't actually seen, we've seen a little bit of what they're up to, but I from the last episode, and I guess this can transition into my recap, I am so very confused about what they are actually doing, what their goal is. So moving on to the recap in that same vein, the last episode, oh my gosh, I have so many questions. So all the, like, they just can, I know that doesn't say anything, but they're just switching bodies. But why? I mean, my best guess and probably the most obvious answer is that it's because they're actually in whatever spots they're at performing this jutsu to Gaara, but they're not all in the same place, but somehow they're all managing to channel their chakra into one place to do this jutsu, the sealing jutsu that's somehow extracting whatever out of Gaara, is what it seems, what I'm going to guess. But again, my question still stands. Are they wanting to release the tailed beast onto the world, or are they trying to gain that power and chakra for themselves? I still want to know why. Like, how did this group come about? Why did they all become, because they, I know in the last episode, 2 episodes ago, when they started the battle with Itachi and Kakashi's group and Kisame and Guy's group about like who should go, they bicker, but they all seem to have a common goal. So how did they all come to this goal? Why is it like, at least because we know the most-ish about Itachi, did he leave the village, kill his family, already knowing who the Akatsuki were? Were they already an established group? Did they all come together and just decide to call themselves the Akatsuki? Like, how did that all come about? And how did they all get under the same mindset that whatever it is they're doing is what they need to do? I guess because they could all be doing this for different reasons, but they almost have a similar goal in mind if they're, I don't know. I feel like I'm just talking in circles. So let's just get into this, because the ending of that last episode being that Itachi and Kisame weren't actually Itachi and Kisame, but other people, makes me very curious again what the end game, or what, not even the end game. I mean, yes, the end game, but the overall goal. Are they just trying to slow them down because they know that they're coming because of the weird pincer dude? And it's not even pincers, it's like, not clasps. The word will come to me eventually. But yeah, anyway, let's get into this episode, because I've been ranting for so long.
A sand shinobi?
What does this mean?
Already with the music.
A fool. He went missing after Gaara was abducted while the village was still in disarray. Is it possible he was a spy for the Akatsuki?
No. He served on the council for 4 years.
That doesn't mean anything. What do they call them? Sleeper agent. Well, sleeper agent, not even really. What is the word I'm looking for?
This jutsu's handy for creating exact duplicates of ourselves, it's true. But with that little chakra, it's no big surprise our stand-ins were taken out. The jutsu they can use are directly proportionate to how much you give them.
How interesting.
But it was more than enough to buy us a little time.
Okay, so they were just wanting to buy time. That makes a lot more sense. So this jutsu creates a stand-in using an actual person's body, but gives them the same powers as them. Okay, there are eyeballs that are opening the more they extract from Gaara. What are the eyeballs? What does that mean?
It's only because of my impersonation jutsu. They could join the ranks of the Akatsuki, short-lived as it was.
Interesting. So they have subordinates who are moles, but maybe they don't know they're moles until they're... Because I remember that guy being confused, but then being like, oh, so that's what it is. So maybe they have the promise of joining the Akatsuki, but they're really just being used by this other guy and the rest of the main members of the Akatsuki? I guess?
For them to use a jutsu like this to stall us can mean only one thing. It's worse than I thought. The extraction of the tailed beast has already begun.
Huh?
Okay, so they are trying to extract him.
Need to get to Gaara right away.
So wait, hold on.
Hmm?
What do you mean by extraction?
They're after the Shukaku. If they can draw out the one tail, they can create a new Jinchuriki.
Ah. Haha. Crazy person theory time pays off.
Attempting to control the beasts by sealing them away inside of people. By doing so, they hope to suppress the tailed beast's great power, and then bend that might to their will.
Okay, but how does that work with the jutsu from the 4th Hokage?
And if you count Gaara, then all told there have been 3 Jinchuriki in the history of the Sand Village thus far.
3? Woo! Oh. It makes sense with the birds from earlier. Maybe that's how their information network works.
But were things to reach that point, then the Jinchuriki...
You don't mean...
Excuse you! No!
That's right, dear.
No!
Once the tailed beast is extracted, they die.
No! Okay, well that just means they have to get to Gaara right now. Stop standing around, don't let the wind blow in your hair, let's just go. Why are we still standing?
The others I mentioned, the Jinchuriki who came before Gaara, we extracted the Shukaku from them as well. And both died as a result.
But why? Is it because they got older and they needed to... Okay.
Hey, don't worry. I promise I'm gonna save Gaara.
Don't you get it? Naruto, I'm concerned!
You better hurry.
About you. But also Naruto does have a point. Let's get going. I am glad though that we have gotten some explanation though. So earlier when they mentioned the sealing jutsu, they need to seal it but while at the same time extracting it. And they want to create... Okay.
I can't just sit here.
I see then.
How did he
You've
know?
heard about that already, have you? The news isn't good. We've learned of something terrible.
It's a good thing I still have tissues in here.
It's possible this fellow was under the control of some form of jutsu.
More importantly, why are there no details about the Kazekage?
She says nothing of when Gaara will return!
Okay, sir. Probably because they don't want you to know.
Seems one of these vermin is Sasori of the Red Sand. We cannot allow a disgrace of this magnitude to get out.
If it were known that Kazekage is missing, there's no telling how emboldened the neighboring lands would...
The only... Okay, actually that makes more sense.
Nonsense! We don't know that Gaara isn't coming back yet.
There are those of the opinion that the village might be better off if he never came back at all.
Excuse you.
Gaara is an unstable monster carrying the one tail inside of him. We thought he would be easier to govern if we made him the Kazekage.
Well, that's just rude.
I know there's many in the younger generation who look on him favorably, almost blinded by their admiration. But let's not bother with pretenses. Most of the village looks on him in fear.
Oh no.
Your anger is certainly understandable, but there's an element of truth to what he says. We have to face the facts here, and this isn't an issue of how trustworthy we believe Gaara to be.
I get that it's more than just that issue, but still.
Similar situation before. The third Kazekage was also kidnapped. There was much speculation on his whereabouts. The instability led to war. Countries were devastated.
Oh, how interesting. So they have experience with this before.
That somebody as powerful as the third could be killed so easily.
Something like that must never happen again!
We have to consider the best interests of the village!
Okay, so they're going off of their history. Which makes sense. At least they're learning from their history.
Look, I get it. It's just that... This is Gaara. He's my little brother.
See, that's what I was gonna say for the reasoning. See, and since the whole Naruto Gaara thing, their brotherly bond has strengthened.
It's a four-man squad from the Leaf, comprised of Kakashi Hatake, Sakura Haruno, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki Naruto Uzumaki, and Chio, an Elder of the Sand.
What you think about that, Sasori?
Looks like he hasn't entirely gotten a handle on that giant Rasengan.
That's probably not good. And Guy looks really tired too.
Are you feeling okay, Guy-sensei?
Huh? Are you kidding? My battery never runs down, Lee.
He's gonna run into something. I knew it. Oh, Tamari's group.
There it is.
Looks like an insane asylum.
Our pace has slowed since we faced off against that bogus Itachi.
He's absolutely right, Naruto.
If we take the time to rest up now, we'll ultimately reach our destination faster.
That's a good point. But also...
May end up facing the guys who kidnapped Gaara. We'll need our full strength.
I know you're right. I know you're right. But the pit of my stomach... The music. The music. I just want to know how they're gonna get rid of that. Nope. Answered my own question.
So this one was Kisame's. Definitely worth disposing of.
Well, let's get to it then, shall we?
Right.
That is fascinating. I have questions about him. That's the end of the episode. To be continued.